What up, Space Fam? Goes in here from Anime Uproar, back at it again to discuss early news on one of the biggest One Piece chapters. It's even more hyped than the last one that introduced us to the final Straw Hat, so make sure to stay tuned for this one. If you do enjoy these early chapter spoiler videos and want to keep them coming, smash that like button to set off the Wano celebration fireworks. And yes, your smash will really set off fireworks if you didn't know yet. If you haven't, make this the video you join the Nakama by subscribing and hitting that notification bell to turn on all notifications, or you will miss future One Piece videos and updates. Now, without further ado, let's jump into it, spoilers and all. Okay, so if you'll remember, last chapter ended with a very conclusion feel to the Wano arc. No big question raised in the end, or cliffhanger, just a celebration of Wano's liberation and Momo's inauguration. And oh boy, does Oda ever make up for not having a cliffhanger last chapter with this one. This chapter is called A New Morning, so again, has that new arc, new adventure feel to it, which makes sense. On the cover, the Germas encounter Caesar, so they're having fun doing their own thing. We're told Zunisha left because the borders are closed. Now that seems weird and sudden. As a former member of Old Joy Boy's crew, we would have loved to see more of him. We'd love to see him give us details of the world, but Luffy didn't want to hear it all from Rayleigh, so I guess it's not a surprise that Zunisha didn't spoil the beans either. I'm thinking Zunisha could have at least stayed to help protect the island against the upcoming threat, which we'll get to, but I guess not. Again, this is like a rough summary of the chapter, so we'll know more when the full translated pages come out, but let me know what you think of Zunisha suddenly peacing out since the borders are still closed and Momo's not opening them yet. We then get Hawkins revealing in a talk with Drake that he meant himself when he said a certain person only had 1% chance of survival. He actually predicted Kaido's defeat, how crazy is that, but didn't commit another betrayal because of his pride. And I gotta say, I kinda respect that. He's not like Apu, where Apu will switch sides as many times as you allow him to. Cool to catch up with the supernova here, and again, I'm guessing Hawkins will survive into the future, so that 1% chance of survival is kind of a lesson to not just live based off of probability. Because if Luffy did that, he definitely would not have gotten as far as he did. Then 7 days pass, no chance anyone can argue that the fight is not over if Kaido hasn't come back to finish the fight in 7 days. So even more so than last time, the identity of Luffy as a Yonko killer, a Yonko destroyer, or a Yonko defeater is settling in. We get to see progress made in the land of Wano, which is a nice touch. I'm looking forward to seeing the exact specifics for what kind of progress. I appreciate the fact that it's not just like, okay, let's save this place, leave, and hope they figure it out. We actually get to see some progress before we go, which makes sense considering how long we've been in Wano now. We need some more payoff and to see how much of a difference Luffy's made. Apu and Imbi seem to have made up with the Alliance, and I'm not surprised. Apu will make up with anybody. Hawkins' refusal to switch sides easily stands out all the more because someone as fickle as Apu is present in this arc. I wonder if Oda will redeem Apu's character by the end of the series, but so far he's definitely not a likable dude. Then we got a big, serious reveal. Even though this is One Piece and you can never be sure that characters will die, some characters have died during the war. Specifically, Ashura and Izo died. Izo died with his exchange against the CP0 agent Maha. Obviously, these aren't main characters, but it is sad to see Ashura and Izo go. I always thought Izo was very cool with his choice of weapons, and also the fact that he was associated with the Whitebeard pirates didn't hurt either. We then jump to a few comedy and fan service scenes that include Yamato and the Straw Hats. Cannot wait to see those because this is super vague here. I'm wondering if Luffy is fine now or if he's still recovering, same with Zoro. And then we get the craziest bit of news, even though it's not necessarily surprising. We're shown that Admiral Ryokugyu, aka Greenbull, is on his way to Wano. There was mention of admirals going to Wano. We knew the world government were preparing to attack if Luffy won, and in our One Piece podcast, we did mention that they could easily be accompanied with an admiral. So it seems like that has indeed happened. We don't know if only Greenbull has shown up or if he came along with other admirals like Fujitora, but nevertheless, it is big news because Greenbull is, in all likelihood, Zoro's father. But before I get into that, it does say there's no break next week, so props to Oda. He's been super consistent with these chapters, even though we are in a super hype part of the story right now, and he could easily get away with taking more breaks. So we'll find out more about Greenbull very soon, so make sure you are subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. Yo, Future Gozen here. We got some new crazy updates of this chapter from Oro Japan. So it pretty much says that we still don't see Greenbull's face, but he has a flower on his back that he uses to push himself and fly. So there's speculation, could this be plant-based fruit, as a lot of us predicted? That explains the, not having to eat for 3 years thing, the photosynthesis and all that. But it also raised the question, could it be some kind of mythical zone as well? So let me know what you think about that. Crazy news. We're also told that One Piece will officially enter a 1-month break hiatus from June 27th to July 25th, so that Oda can prepare for the final saga. Huge news. Final saga in and of itself is like a big drop, but yeah, it makes sense. As I was saying, Oda definitely deserves a break. We've been getting some amazing content. Finally, we got some spoilers saying that Morgan's already published the news in the newspapers. You know what that means, guys. We're going to be getting bounties real soon. Can't wait. And we see the crew recovered, including Zoro, which is another question I had. So that's cool. And we also see that Greenbull is accompanied by a Buster call. So wow, this is going to be an insane chapter. But back to the Greenbull Zoro's dad discussion. If you don't know, there has been a theory that Greenbull is Zoro's father for a long time. I'm pretty sure I first heard this theory discussed in detail from a Morge video called Proof Greenbull is Zoro's father, published over 8 months ago, and he even said in the video he's not the first to mention it, so it's definitely not a new theory, but with recent events, it just seems more and more obvious. And props to Morge, who even said in that video that Greenbull would come to Wano, and he was clearly right. We know Wano has been a Zoro-focused arc, in the way Whole Cake has been a Sanji-focused arc, but wow, it just keeps going. Zoro made a Yonko bleed his own blood, he blocked the Yonko combo attack, he beat King, the Yonko commander with the highest known bounty, we got important backstory stuff since he and his ancestors are clearly from Wano, and now it looks like his father is fast approaching for a meetup, whether it will be to fight or for another reason we don't know yet. It was suggested that Greenbull, like Fujitora, is not very Admiral-ish, in the sense that they seem to have better moral compasses than Akainu and Kizaru, and so there is a very strong possibility that they are undercover using their position to help crush the world government, or at least to change it from within. We know Zoro has to be related to his lookalike Shimotsuki Ushimaru, who has a similar fighting style, similar appearance, and the list goes on. Ushimaru was shown in the anime wearing a cloak with a bull on it, and the bull was black and green. So there is a clear connection there with Greenbull, and thus there's a clear connection with Greenbull and Zoro. Now, for just the similarities between Zoro and Greenbull, Morge actually in his video made a good point that Zoro and Greenbull were introduced in similar ways. Zoro was fasting when Luffy met him, and Greenbull is fasting when he's introduced. He even tells Fujitora he hasn't eaten in 3 years, but he might if a gal fed him. And in Zoro's case, he did eat the rice balls the girl brought him near the beginning of the story. Now Greenbull says eating is a pain to him and he hasn't eaten for 3 years, which seems superhuman, as if it's a fruit power thing rather than just a fast, but these parallels shouldn't be ignored either way. Foregoing eating has been associated with Wano-specific characters like Ushimaru and Zoro, so it's another point that lends weight to Greenbull being from Wano, just as his friend Fujitora clearly appears to be. Now that Greenbull is coming, and since we just had a focus on Sanji and his father last arc, it seems more likely than ever that Zoro during this arc of his will now have to confront his own dad. Since Luffy, Usopp, and Sanji already have famous living dads, it's even more likely that Zoro's dad will be someone important and living like Greenbull. I also haven't mentioned the obvious yet that Zoro is associated with the color green more than any other, but it's still a fact that shouldn't be ignored when looking at Greenbull and his connection to Zoro. The other cool thing is, if Zoro's dad is Greenbull, as I believe he probably is, then all 4 of these mentioned dads will be powerful people from different areas of life. One being a revolutionary, one a pirate, one an admiral, and one a king/scientist. So yeah, this is big news whether you think Greenbull is Zoro's dad or not, because he is nonetheless a character shrouded in mystery and an admiral to boot, so you can bet he's gonna be interesting to watch and to learn about regardless of his relationship to Zoro. Let me know what you think. Since the truth will come out soon, place your bets for bragging rights in the comments. Is Greenbull Zoro's father or not? And while you're at it, how do you think he could go 3 years without eating? Is it fruit powers, as I think it is, or do you think you can take samurai epicness so far that that's actually possible once you reach a certain level, at least in the world of One Piece? Could fasting be seen as Greenbull's version of Fujitora blinding himself? And will Greenbull attack and fight the Straw Hats, or actually allow them to escape, revealing that he's actually on their side. And if this is Zoro's dad, just as last arc dealt with Sanji's dad, will it be an even further clue that, as I've been expecting, Luffy's dad will play a bigger role in the next arc, since now as the warrior of liberation, Sun God Luffy seems to be integral to Dragon's revolutionary mission? Yes, I have a lot of questions, but one thing we don't need to question, one thing we know for certain, and that one thing is, you should smash that like button and set off the Wano fireworks if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it. If you haven't, make this the video you join the Nakama by subscribing and hitting that notification bell to turn on all notifications, or you will miss future One Piece videos and updates. While you wait for the full translated pages review to come out, feel free to check out my huge and growing One Piece playlist that includes videos on all Yonko, Warlords, Supernova, Mythical Zones, oh yeah, and Admirals, and much more. Link to that is in the description. And until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.